Most people know Google as the biggest search engine in the world. Every day, billions of people use it to find answers, maps, videos, and more. But not many people know that part of Google's success began with a simple mistake, a typo. Back in the 1990s, two students at Stanford University, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, were working on a project. They wanted to make a new kind of search engine. At that time, search engines were not very smart. They often gave you a long list of websites, but many of them were not helpful. Larry and Sergey had a better idea. They wanted to rank websites based on how many other websites linked to them. They believed that if a website was linked to by many others, it must be important. They called their project Backrub at first, but they knew that name wasn't right. They started looking for a better name that would show how big and powerful their search engine could be. One day, they were talking about the word Google. A Google is a very large number, a 1 followed by 100 zeros. It shows the idea of having tons of information. Larry and Sergey liked that idea because they wanted their search engine to be able to find anything, no matter how big the internet became. So they decided to use Google as the name. But when one of their friends went to register the domain name, he made a small typing mistake. Instead of typing google.com, he typed google.com. It was just a typo. But something about Google felt right. It was easy to say, easy to remember, and it sounded fun. Larry and Sergey decided to keep it. That small mistake, that simple typo, gave them a name that would soon become known all around the world. After choosing the name Google, Larry and Sergey worked hard to improve their search engine. They set up their office in a garage in California and began building their company. They wanted to organize the world's information and make it easy for everyone to find. As more people used Google, they noticed it was faster and gave better results than other search engines. This helped Google grow quickly. The clean, simple design also helped. Unlike other websites at the time, Google didn't have flashy ads or lots of buttons. Just a search box and a logo. People liked that. In just a few years, Google became the #1 search engine. The company kept growing, adding new tools like Gmail, Google Maps, and Google Translate. But even as it became a huge tech company, the funny, made-by-accident name stayed the same. The story of Google shows how even small things, like a typing error, can make a big difference. If their friend had typed the name correctly, maybe we would all be saying, just Google it, instead of just Google it. But the name was only one part of the story. What really made Google successful was the way Larry and Sergey thought about solving problems. They didn't just want to copy what others were doing. They wanted to build something better. And they kept improving it all the time. As Google became more popular, it also began to change how people used the internet. Before Google, finding information online could be hard and slow. After Google, it became fast, easy, and something people could do many times a day. But success also brought new challenges for Google. As more people began to depend on it for searching, news, shopping, and even directions, Google had to work harder to stay ahead. The internet was growing quickly, and so were the expectations of users. One major challenge was handling the massive amount of data being searched every second. Google had to build powerful servers and create smarter systems to manage everything. They came up with a special system called PageRank, which helped rank websites based on how useful and trusted they were. This made search results more accurate, and people noticed the difference. Another challenge was competition. Other companies saw how well Google was doing and wanted to build their own search engines or tools. But Google kept moving forward by hiring smart people and creating new ideas faster than others. They didn't just stick to search. They began making other useful products like Google Images, Google News, and Google Books. Soon, the company launched Gmail, which was different from other email services because it gave users lots of storage and made it easier to find old emails. Then came Google Maps, which helped people find places, get directions, and even see streets through Street View. These tools became part of everyday life for millions. At the same time, Google had to think about how to make money. Since it was offering all these tools for free, the company needed a way to earn. That's when Google Ads became important. It showed small ads related to what people were searching for. This smart idea helped businesses reach customers, and it brought in billions of dollars for Google. But with more power came more responsibility. People started asking questions. Was Google keeping too much data? Was it fair to smaller websites? Should one company control so much of the internet? Governments around the world also started looking closely at Google's actions. Google had to respond by becoming more careful about privacy, fairness, and transparency. It also created new rules and tools to help users control their own data. Still, the questions didn't go away. Even with these challenges, Google continued to grow. It became part of a bigger company called Alphabet, which allowed it to work on other big ideas, like self-driving cars, smart home devices, and artificial intelligence. But the heart of Google's story always goes back to that early dream, to make the world's information easy to find and use. And it all began with two students, a big idea, and a lucky typo that gave the company its name. As technology continues to change, Google keeps changing too. The company is always looking for new ways to stay useful and important in people's lives. One big area Google is now focused on is artificial intelligence, AI. This means teaching computers to think and learn like humans. Google uses AI in many of its tools. For example, when you use Google Translate, it's AI that helps understand and translate the language. When you search for something and Google seems to know exactly what you mean, that's also AI. Even when you use voice assistants like Google Assistant to ask questions, play music, or control smart devices, AI is behind it all. Another big step for Google has been working on self-driving cars through a company called Waymo, which is part of Alphabet. These cars use sensors and AI to drive themselves without a human driver. It sounds like science fiction, but Google has been testing these cars on real roads for years. Google is also trying to help solve some of the world's biggest problems. It has projects to improve internet access in poor or rural areas, like using balloons, Project Loon, or satellites to bring Wi-Fi to places that don't have it. It has also invested in clean energy and more efficient computer centers that use less electricity. At the same time, Google is still trying to keep its main product, the search engine, fast, simple, and smart. But today, people don't just search from computers. They use phones, tablets, watches, and even smart speakers. Google has had to make sure its services work well everywhere. It also faces new competition from other big tech companies. Some people now use social media like TikTok or Instagram to find answers, especially younger users. Others use different browsers, search engines, or apps. Google is no longer the only place people go to find things, and it knows that it must keep improving to stay in the lead. And just like in the early days, not everyone agrees on what Google should or shouldn't do. Some say it collects too much data or gives too much power to advertisers. Others worry about how AI will change jobs, privacy, and even the truth. Google now has to balance being innovative with being responsible. Still, even with all these changes and challenges, the story of Google remains an example of how an idea, even one that starts with a typo, can grow into something that changes the world. As Google looks toward the future, it continues to explore bold ideas, from building smarter computers to helping doctors diagnose diseases faster, to translating languages instantly across the globe. The company knows that technology alone isn't enough. It must also be used wisely, fairly, and with care for people and the planet. What makes Google's story truly special isn't just its size or money. It's the mindset behind it, the belief that a small team with a big idea can change the way the world works. Larry and Sergey didn't have all the answers when they started. They were students, working from a garage, using borrowed computers. But they had curiosity, determination, and the courage to try something new. And it all started with a simple mistake, a typo that gave them the name Google. That small accident led to something massive. It reminds us that success doesn't always come from perfect plans. Sometimes it comes from trying, failing, learning, and being open to surprises. So whether you're a student, a dreamer, or someone with an idea that feels too small to matter, remember this. Every big thing starts small. Every expert was once a beginner. And sometimes, even a mistake can lead you to your greatest success. Stay curious. Keep learning. Don't be afraid to think differently. Because you never know, the next big idea that changes the world might come from you. And who knows, maybe just like Google, it'll all begin with a typo.